Hello all, welcome to the new episode of Arts and Culture Stories with Khushboo Bagga. And it is an absolute honor to welcome Raghu Rai Ji, who's the first receiver of Laureate Photographer of Academy of Fine Arts Paris Award, apart from many other prestigious awards. Welcome Raghu Ji. Raghu Ji is an eminent creative photographer who has edged his name in the annals of visual storytelling with a career spanning over 5 decades. Renowned for his evocative images capturing the essence of India's diverse landscapes, cultures and human experiences, Raghuji's lens has immortalized pivotal moments in the nation's history. From documenting the moments in the history to chronicling social and cultural transformations, his work resonates with depth, emotion and authenticity. A revered mentor and educator, Raghuji's contribution to the world of photography transcend borders, inspiring generations with his unparalleled ability to encapsulate the soul of India in every frame. Before we go further, I would like to thank our supporting partners, Petal Foundation and Chaulaz Heritage Jewellery. So Raghuji, tell us about your earlier years before photography. What led you to choose this career which spanned 5 decades? I mean, what a journey. And was there any inspiration back then to take up this career?
Yes, sure.
Any muse you had?
Yes. Actually, I was trained as a civil engineer because that's what my father wanted me to become. But in those years, in our time, we were not allowed to choose what we like to do in our future.
True.
So I had to do the civil engineering, and then I worked with the government 10 to 5 for almost 2 years.
Okay.
Which was very boring for me. And that was in Punjab because my father was in charge of the irrigation department and he wanted me to become the engineer. So after 2 years of job, my father came back to Delhi. So quietly, I also came back to Delhi. And then I came and stayed with my elder brother S. Paul, who was a well-known photographer. Because if I stay with my parents, then again I'll have to listen to them.
True.
So I was staying with my elder brother, and for 2 years I didn't know what to do with myself. More than a year, I didn't know what to do with myself. And one day by chance, one of his friends, Yog Joy, who was a rich farmer but was fond of photography, he was going to his village to look at his whatever farming and do some photography because his energy was so good and highly educated. So I told my brother, I think I'll also go with him for 2-3 days. He said, yes. I don't know, while going, I said, Vaisa, why don't you give me a camera? I'll also take some pictures, just by the way. So he gave me a camera, small camera. He adjusted the light and focus and he told me basic points. Off I went with Yog Joy to his village. So at the end of the day, he was taking pictures of the children in the village. They were jumping up and down. And I was standing and watching camera hanging here. Then I saw a baby donkey standing on the side. And I liked that very gentle, simple look of a baby donkey. So I went closer, the baby ran away.
Okay.
And the children started laughing.
Okay.
So I kept chasing the baby donkey so that children can enjoy the fun. And then the baby donkey got tired and stopped. And I took
Finally gave you the time to capture.
I took one picture of his close-up straight on and the landscape fading. And when I came back, my brother got the film processed and he saw that picture. He says, Raghu, this is a very good picture. I said, yeah. So in those years, that was 65, 66, 1966.
Okay.
The Times London newspaper, which was the most prestigious paper at that time, they used to publish weekend pictures every Sunday, half-page photograph of a situation which is strange, which is ironic, which has fun or whatever. So my brother sent that picture and that got published half page with my name on it. So when the newspaper came, his friends, everybody said, wow, Raghu, big deal.
Spectacular.
So, well, I didn't know. I said, really big deal? They say, the Times, it's so important. And that tickled me. So because I had no plans to become a photographer, when they said it's a big deal, so I said, bhai sahab, give me a camera, I'll also take pictures. So he loaded a film for me in a Nikon camera. I go in the morning, shoot the whole day, come back, process the film. This is how I started.
Wow.
And but then also somewhere the yearning, the madness in me for nature and life was there, which needed to be explored through something.
Correct.
And here was something by chance.
Yeah.
So you channelize that creativity.
So this is, you can say, purely an accidental beginning,
Correct.
which enriched my life,
Wow.
Yeah.
So a baby donkey was your first muse, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lovely. So Raghuji, you witnessed some of the India's most pivotal historical moments, from Bangladeshis coming to India, leading to a war, Pal gas tragedy, then assassination of Indira Gandhi, and also social, cultural events. Can you share some of the anecdotes from these experiences?
It's a long and intense experience. Actually, the Bangladesh refugees started pouring into India in 1971 because of the atrocities being committed by Pakistan Army in Bangladesh. And supposed to be over 10 million refugees poured into India over a few months. And the world didn't believe us because Pakistan's propaganda was much more, well organized than ours. And that's the time when I was working for the Statesman newspaper. Statesman newspaper at that time was very reliable, very important paper. So seeing my photographs being published from across the border and inside Bangladesh, the government of India wanted me to take an exhibition of my work to different capitals of the world to create awareness that it was actually happening.
Okay.
So I traveled with my photographs, not only of Bangladesh refugees, because I didn't want to look like, government's representatives showing refugees coming into India. I carried my personal creative work and some Bangladesh refugee pictures. So wherever I went, I had great reviews in Paris, in New York, in Tokyo, in London, everywhere. So when I came back, first time, Government of India realized the amount of publicity in big newspapers and channels was given to my exhibition.
Work.
And after the Bangladesh war and victory, for the first time, the Government of India decided to give a Padmashree to a photographer.
Wow.
So that's what happened. And then, those 84 was a year of lot of crisis in the country because Bhindranwale was becoming very strong in Amritsar. And then he gets killed by the army inside Golden Temple, and the Sikhs are angry. Then Indira Gandhi gets assassinated by her Sikh bodyguards. So all these events, when the history was being made, I was lucky to be
Captured.
right close enough to be there at the right time and capture it.
Raghuji, you've captured many notable political figures to cultural icons. Can you share some of your memorable experiences while photographing them? Do you have any favorites?
Yeah, one of the most influential and precious assignment was when I was asked by my editors in Calcutta to come and photograph Mother Teresa in 1970 when she was hardly known. And Mother was a small stature, warm, intense, very serious lady. So I went with my editor to her office and he introduced me that he's come from Delhi to photograph you.
But why her?
Her work was becoming very important in Calcutta amongst the poorest of the poor, people dying in the streets, being picked up and brought in. And so she was doing a seva which was a rare thing happening in India,
And it influenced you, so you wanted to...
No, because also what happens in a daily newspaper, you pick up those icons, those people who are making a difference to the society.
Right.
So Mother was very powerful individual. So my encounter with her was most intense. And over the period of till she was alive, I have done 3 books on her, different books, on her. And that was a very fulfilling experience because Mother's intensity as a
caretaker.
She said she was not a social worker. She's looking after the poorest of the poor. Why? Because when Christ was suffering, I wasn't there to nurse him.
Okay.
So all these poorest of the poor are my Christ. I died for it. I said, wow, what a lady.
What a lady.
That for every poor person whose suffering is her Christ. That was the intensity of a seva. And also, she'll do the seva the whole day, and in the evening, she'll get into prayers to reconnect and rejuvenate herself with the Lord so that she can do the seva next day.
So it was all real.
Yeah. I mean, beyond my normal perceptions of seva and human beings, she was unbelievable for me. And I found the purity and the commitment so intense that I started looking at myself to be available to do this great assignment with that kind of purity and care. So that
like
was,
a service.
Yeah. So it was something unique for me, apart from the daily newspaper events. Right. And also working with the newspaper for almost 10 years. Well, in early first few years, I realized the fact that in a daily newspaper, you do a story today, tomorrow you're sent to do another story of another kind. So in a daily newspaper, daily stories die a daily death.
People forget and it becomes mundane for photographer also.
Unless it's an ongoing story.
True.
So this gave me insight into the idea that my images that I take today, they should not be labeled with that event. My images should have the ability to share that current, that emotion.
Yeah.
Anytime when people look at that, it has the
essence of humanity. Service and kindness.
Like for instance, Indira Gandhi was the longest serving Prime Minister. And in those years, like today, Modi, it used to be Indira Gandhi everywhere. And then I thought to myself, I said, Indira Gandhi in the morning, Indira Gandhi in the afternoon, Indira Gandhi next day. And we had to do it because she was very active in social, political, cultural activities also. And you couldn't ignore her because she was also making a difference. So I thought to myself, I said, I have been doing photographs of Indira Gandhi in most, situations and events. If somebody who doesn't know who this lady is, and they see my photographs, can my photographs touch their emotions and bring about the story being witnessed there and then in that moment, in that space, without knowing who the person is? So I would go beyond the daily news attitude and look for the human content.
Candid moments.
Yeah, candid moments with human content, emotions and energies they live for themselves.
Yeah, their real life.
Yeah, so that was where I went beyond the
Regular.
regular news events,
Yes.
and attitude of doing news pictures. So that was a great learning for me.
So you were a protege of Henri Cartier-Bresson, and
Well, not really, because, people have started saying that, but the fact is that when I went for my exhibition in the world capitals, my first show opened in Paris.
okay,
And the first person before the opening time who came to see the exhibition
was Henri Cartier.
was Henri Cartier-Bresson. So, I walked into the gallery and I see at the end of the other side a man with a Leica camera looking at pictures very intently. So I watched him, then I went closer to him. And I was sure that it was Bresson. So he turned back, he looked at me, he says, "Are you the photographer?" I said, "Yes." He says, "I'll talk to you once I finish seeing." So I was very thrilled. I said, "Wow."
You were his fan back then?
Because, Henri Cartier-Bresson, his documentation, his kind of photojournalism was a very rare thing. Because it went beyond the daily news stories. He captured the inner spirit and emotions of things at any given time.
Okay.
So he was more important than a news photographer.
Okay.
So
You were inspired by him.
yeah, his work. So after that, he finished looking at my work. He says, "Wonderful. I'd like to invite you home for a dinner. When can you come? Are you free this evening?" I was thrilled. I said, "Wow." So I go to his house for dinner. There I meet Bruno Barbie, Marc Ribot, many other photographers he had invited. And the next day, the review in Le Monde was great time for photography in Paris because Raghu Rai was showing here.
Oh, wow.
So everybody, my ambassador, everybody they didn't believe it. But I was bored because it did excite me. I said, I am just a young 4 or 5 years old as a photographer. How can they say this? I have been very critical, analytical of other people's work and my own work. And when they said great time for photography in Paris because I was showing them, I said, yeah, why do they say this? But nevertheless, in Germany, I had great reviews. The Zeit, the biggest newspaper there, in New York Times, in New York, in London, the Times, everybody was giving me great new reviews. So then I settled down. I said, there must be
something. I'll tell you what the thing is. In simple words, I think your works are soulful.
Gee. And also, you see, this is also contribution of Mother Teresa.
Okay.
She got into the soul. And even when I'll go and meet her, she'll hold my hand. She will not look at me like that. She'll look into me.
Okay.
कि
Deep in the soul.
deep in the soul.
Yeah.
You shudder कि माँ तो झांक लेती है, सब देख लेती है.
Right.
What
How
are
dangerous.
intentions and yeah,
So you have to be clean and pure.
Pure. Yeah.
So that clean purity has to be maintained and captured.
Okay.
This is the difference.
so that's the essence of your photography.
Yes. And I have been very lucky because 5 years later I meet His Holiness Dalai Lama in Leh, Ladakh, and I have the same intense experience with His Holiness, and we became friends. So my journey has been very blessed, especially with such spiritual powers.
Spiritual people, very soulful, I must say. Very lucky. So Raghuji, I had an opportunity to visit your recently concluded show at the Kirana Museum.
Which was
The
my
Thousand
biggest show.
Lives, yes.
And they organized it so beautifully.
Yeah, beautifully.
The best show I have ever had.
Yeah. So it was like
Kirana Museum is a very special and serious place for the
Place.
art world. you know.
definitely.
And for the first time, they give the whole gallery space to a photographer.
Okay.
Yeah. Initially, 2 years we've been having conversation. They said, we want to give you a show. I said, listen, I've had 2 big successful shows at the National Gallery of Modern Art.
True.
If you want to give me a show, it has to be the whole museum.
And it was worth it.
Yes,
It was
worth it.
spectacular.
Yes,
The photographs from, I think, over 4 decades of
Yeah,
the work
five-
that you,
five
5 decades of work that
Not
produced.
sorry, 4 decades.
Yes.
Because there we were showing only the analog time when I was using
Yes.
film. So they were silver gelatin prints specially done from New York. And my curator Rubina, with the help of Devika Daulat Singh from Photo Inc., they did a great job.
Great job. Yeah.
Great job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are you contented now that you see your work?
अरे देखिए ये बड़ी मुश्किल बात है. You deliver a baby and you nurture that and then you are pregnant again because the world is ever changing and challenging. So it's,
But you were happy with your the
was.
work that you
It
produced.
was.
Yes,
I've
I'm
already,
sure.
almost it's in the past.
The legacy that you've created, are you proud of it?
नहीं, ऐसा नहीं, प्राउड नहीं. ये मेरी जिंदगी की सर्च है, एक्सप्लोरेशन है, जिंदगी के दर्शन पाना. तो दर्शन जो है उसका कोई अंत नहीं है. देयर इज नो एंड टू इट ना.
It's an ongoing process.
ऑनगोइंग प्रोसेस. इंडियन फिलॉसफी कहते हैं कण कण में भगवान है. आपने भी सुना हो, हमने भी सुना था, बच्चे भी सुनते होंगे कण कण. अब कण कण में भगवान है क्या है? आप ये बुक उठाओ, उसके नीचे से भगवान, या पत्थर उठाओ तो भगवान नहीं निकल प्रकट होने वाले. तो मैंने ये रियलाइज किया कि एवरीथिंग अराउंड अस ऑन दिस प्लैनेट मैटर्स. If you learn to focus and connect, the revelations that happen is like meeting
Is
the
divine.
Almighty's creation.
Agree.
So this is the interpretation I have understood.
So your work is the God for you.
Yes.
The work that you produce.
बिल्कुल दर्शन है, जिंदगी का दर्शन, नेचर का दर्शन. और आप दर्शन पाते हैं तो आप blissfully जीते हैं.
Totally agree. What are your learnings about art, culture, religion and lives from your own work?
आर्ट, कल्चर, रिलीजन. देखिए मेरा तो धर्म फोटोग्राफी है, पहली बात. क्योंकि फोटोग्राफी, थ्रू फोटोग्राफी आई हैव बीन एक्सप्लोरिंग एंड कनेक्टिंग विद द वर्ल्ड. तो धर्म वो जो आपको सच जिंदगी का सच्चा रूप दिखाए, और आप वो जो सच्चे रूप को दर्शाएं और शेयर करें. तो मेरा तो जीने का प्रोसेस जो है वो दर्शन पाने और शेयर करने वाली बात है.
Okay.
और आर्ट फॉर आर्ट से making colorful, pretty pictures. These days you see Instagram overloaded with rang-birang photographs of various situations, of people, everything. And the new technologies, they exaggerate color so much. So, I mean, it's interesting that everybody has some kind of a camera in their cell phone. Everybody's become a photographer with the investment to discover, to explore, to capture, to share. Is another ball game.
True.
So, especially when the world is getting so overcrowded with images, for me, it's become more, I'll say the sanctity of my profession. It's not photography, it's not just news photography, it's not just being creative photographer. The sanctity of my profession is that what we photograph, as I have been at it in almost more than 4 decades, photographing the big events, the wars, the tragedies, the socio-political happenings in the country. And if I am exploring it with all the truthfulness and intensity, the purpose of photography, what I am shooting, is that I am capturing a visual history. और देखिए कि writing is a very old profession, ever since. And it is said that good journalism is the first draft of history. Good honest journalism. Not today's kind, If journalism is the first draft of history, then a moment captured with responsibility and sensitivity in these big events is the first evidence of the history. History is written and is being rewritten, but visual history cannot be rewritten. So that's the sanctity of my profession. I look at it like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I have a question. How do you differentiate between a good photography and a bad photography? Like a good image or a bad image? Because for us also as audience, as a budding photographer also, I would say that, how do you differentiate? There are so many pictures. Everyone is now taking candid moments, street photography. How do you differentiate which one is a good picture and which one is a...
Bulk of it is happy, snappy, colorful things happening.
Yeah.
Everybody gets entertained and amused.
Right.
Once Khushwant Singh, after seeing Satyajit Ray's film, he wrote very frankly, Bombay cinema is more entertaining than Satyajit Ray's films. Everybody's taking pictures, that's your question.
Yes.
Everybody's getting entertained, get something out of it.
Yeah.
But what is it? Like Hindi cinema, most of the songs are rang-birang, interesting, dramatic, whatever.
Yeah.
पर राग सुनने से ही तो जिन सुरों की गहराइयाँ समझ में आती
चलता है. Yes.
जी हाँ.
Right.
An image and a book of photography can be like a raga, rendering of raga, or making a film.
Or like a beautiful song.
Yeah. Like capturing a detailed experience of that kind. So this is where the world falls short of it. When people are in a hurry, they look at them, they take a glance and move on to the next picture. When you are taking a picture in a given space, you are aware of every inch of space. And energy is crisscrossing. And you take a picture which unifies the experience of the whole space. When people look at a picture, they just glance. The people read the text, but they haven't learned to read photographs.
Photographs.
That's where the problem is. So visually, most people are poor. That's why Bombay cinema, Bollywood can get away with so much junk they create.
Do you think is it important that every photograph that you take should evoke certain emotion? It can be happy, sad, fun, spooky.
It should. I won't say every photograph I take. I take many pictures.
Random images.
Also, but a moment captured in space which captures the energy and the spirit of the given time.
Okay. So that's important.
Is what matters.
Okay.
Every picture I take, I can't say.
Is meaningful or something.
But you reach a point of meditative experience and you say, this is it.
Right. Okay. So Raghuji, you've won several awards from Padmashree to Photographer of the Year to World Press Photo Award. Is there any award that is dear to you and why? And also, what is your perspective today on these awards?
You know, when you are young, these awards matter a lot.
Definitely.
That gives you a kick.
Yeah.
Wow.
Motivates you.
Like Padmashree, I was the first photographer after my exhibition traveling the world capitals and getting so much importance. The government of India realized that photography can make so much difference. But in 2019, I give you a little bit of history, that the first invention of first camera was announced at the Académie des Beaux-Arts in Paris, the Academy of Fine Arts, Paris. And this academy had started from 16th century.
Okay.
17th century. And that was meant for art, literature and music.
Okay.
Photography started in 18th century.
Okay.
17th, 18th century. France has produced the greatest photographers in the world like Henri, Cartier-Bresson, Marc Ribot, Joseph Kodelka, so many other photographers. But strangely, Académie des Beaux-Arts didn't have any award for photography till 2019.
Okay.
Yeah.
So very recently.
Yeah, very recently. Otherwise, it was reserved for writers, literature, art and music. So first time they decided to give an international award for photography. So I get a call from Paris, from the director of the Academy, that Mr. Rai, first time we have initiated this award, laureate photographer of the Academy. We've selected 16 photographers from all over the world. You are one of them.
Wow.
So I felt good. I said, thank you. So, he said, our proceedings are going on. We'll take another day or two to decide who's the best. Will you accept it if you get it? I said, why is he asking me? I'll accept it if I get it.
Yeah.
If there are 16 photographers. So basically, I find good that I'm among the 16 photographers in the world. So when he said, will you accept it? I said, well, yes, why not?
Why not? Neki or pooch pooch. It's like that.
And he said, all right, thank you, we'll let you know. So I told my wife and my daughter, we were traveling in Kashmir. We were doing some shooting together. So I told them the good news. And then I thought to myself, I said, oh boy, I am the kind, I don't go and meet editors, curators and directors of galleries and museums and magazines. People come to me sometime, but I never go and meet anybody. I said, and I live in India, in Delhi. And these 16 photographers, somebody in New York, somebody in Paris, somebody in London, and they are in touch with each other. So I thought to myself, well, whatever happens, And then suddenly, wait a minute, we have our Guruji. His divine powers are amazing. And I live with his blessings. So suddenly it occurred to me. I said, if my Guruji presses the button, nobody can stop.
And you will be the one receiving it.
Uh-huh. In 2 hours, they called me back. They said, Mr. Rai, you won.
You're the one.
I said, you said it's going to take you a day or two. He says, there are 11 international juries. They said his work has multi-layered, multi-dimensional experience of photography, which no other photographer had. So, with the 120,000 euros, big money for a photographer.
I know.
So that was the award. First time, I was the first winner to get it in Paris. So they organized a special exhibition in the Academy of Fine Arts. First time being given to anybody, not even the artist.
Not only the Indian artist.
No, not even international artist or photographer. First photographer to get an exhibition inside the Fine Arts
Academy. How prestigious.
So that was something very unique for me.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Shows his work to people and connects with other photographers and editors, as I said earlier. But then my dedication, my commitment, my madness is so intense that on my own, for the last so many decades, I've been going on and on and on, like a madman. And sometimes, you look at your work and I feel, wow, it looks special. And then you wonder, are you shooting in the dark? You don't share it with the rest of the world. And you think, oh, because the energy is the instinctive moment has its own power to touch you.
True.
And when I had to speak at the Academy, this is what I shared. I said, I used to wonder whether I'm shooting in the dark. And now that you honored me, I feel I have been on the right track. But life and nature never stops. So you got to go on.
True. One leader or a notable figure, dead or alive, that you think you would have loved to capture, but you couldn't?
I'll say Mahatma Gandhi and Pandit Nehru.
Oh, okay.
Because even Pandit Nehru, Jawaharlal Nehru, he was such a spontaneous
leader,
sensitive leader, and very instinctive, and a lover boy.
Yeah, he was lovable. No doubt.
He was more of a visionary who loved India and India loved him.
True.
And Mahatma Gandhi, wow, another guy. I wish I was there.
You weren't around that time.
No, I was a little bacha, I didn't even know the stature and the value of these guys.
If you could create a photographer's survival kit with just 3 items, what do you think it would be and why?
3 items means 3 photographs.
Equipments. Like a battery.
No, I don't carry a tripod or a battery, but one camera with one zoom lens.
Okay.
That will be 25-70 or 25-200 or something like that.
And
I'll be doing enough with one camera, one lens. Because also, with the age and experience, you minimize these extra baggages that you carry.
True.
So you have to simplify your journey.
Agree, totally.
Yeah.
What is the most memorable photograph that you've ever taken?
ऐसा नहीं होता. देखिए, in early years, I could have given you 1 or 2 examples.
Still, I would like to know your favorites.
But now, after more than 5 decades in photography, every moment that I've connected with has its own value and resonance in my life.
Special place in it.
Yeah. And if you look at a grand building and you say, which is the most important stone or door in this building?
So you can't tell that.
So I'm a product of all those moments, big and small.
That you have captured throughout your throughout the career of 5 decades. Anybody else's work that you really like that you think?
Many photographers.
Can you give some examples? Somebody's work.
There used to be one photographer, Arthur Tress, in America.
Okay.
Brand new. Ralph Gibson. And, of course, Henri Cartier-Bresson was the most prolific, creative photographer in terms of documentary photography, photojournalism, who explored new style of energy and moments in daily life.
Okay.
And he's left so many directions for all of us to go on. Some nature photographer, some landscape photographers, they contributed their own energy into capturing those images.
What's your favorite place that you travel to for photography?
That also.
I've seen you traveling to Banaras.
Used to be. Banaras, Kanyakumari,
Okay, Kanya.
Dharti Maa ke Paon,
Okay.
Calcutta, Bombay. Now it's anywhere and everywhere. I have been blessed with the energy to connect with any given situation at any time, anywhere in this world. पहले मैं विदेश में I won't take pictures. मैं तो इंडिया में करता हूँ.
Yeah. Okay.
But now I connect anywhere and everywhere. The divine is there to
Is everywhere.
explore. Yeah.
Okay. Any special something about Banaras or Kanyakumari? Because we've mostly seen you.
नहीं देखिए बनारस is like a Mecca of Hindu धर्म.
Yes.
वहाँ तो पत्थर भी लाओ तो भगवान प्रकट हो जाए.
Okay.
तो और वो जो एक
Also the vibe of the place, the sadhus,
बिल्कुल
the disciples.
वो जगह ने भी इनहेरिट कर लिया है वो धर्म कर्म
energy
का
of this, yes.
कि इतनी एनर्जी कि हर जगह पे कुछ ना कुछ बात दिखाई
the other
देती
is
है.
happening, yes.
और एक बात तो है कि हिंदू धर्म जो है ना वो दीवाने असली जो धर्म है हिंदू धर्म वो दीवाने लोगों के लिए है.
It's mysterious.
You can take it to any direction,
Yeah.
any level.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is what is so great about Hindu dharma.
Hindu religion.
You know, because other dharmas are very defined, specific,
Yeah.
and defined. Hindu dharma is free flowing.
It's vast and it's immense and
Absolutely.
and yet it is mysterious and
Yeah. It has its own mysteries.
Yeah.
But unlike, today's Hindutva, that is again a brand of Hindu dharma. But Hindu dharma is such a free-flowing energy that you can connect it with anybody and anywhere.
Right.
We can go to church also, we can go to a mosque also and still remain who we are.
Yeah.
You know?
If you weren't a photographer, what would you be, you think? An engineer as
No.
you studied?
Not at all.
So that education you
I
think
could
went...
be a good Mali,
Mali, okay, gardener.
gardener, because I love gardening. I could have been a very good musician.
Do you sing?
I used to. And ever since my childhood, I wanted to become a musician.
Okay.
But in our time, musician means mirasi, you know, the entertainers. And my father didn't like it. And I have been listening to Indian classical music for a long time. Here also I come to the office, the music is turned on, my phone has all the list of classical music by Ali Akbar Khan Sahab, by Kishori Amonkar, by Ravi Shankar, by Bismillah Khan. So these great masters and some of the young musicians.
Like?
So they take you to the higher level of consciousness and connect you with divine.
Yeah. Also the creativity.
Yeah. So that is very special for me.
Young artist, any young artist you would like to name? Who inspired?
Sujat Khan is doing,
Okay.
yes, good sitar player. So there are so many others, but I am not really in touch with many young photographers because I stick to the old masters.
But you think your education that you took in your earlier years, which was for civil engineering, it went waste, or was it useful in
it
some
went
way or
waste.
the other?
No, you see, because What I'm doing today, what I'm experiencing today, has got nothing to do with
Civil
that part of my, learning.
Maybe the hard work, like you said, you keep on working, and maybe you learn
Yeah, but that I have learned from Mother Teresa, that I have learned from
Dalai
other
Lama
people,
and other-
Dalai Lama, and connecting soulfully as a human being is the ultimate thing.
different from
Yeah.
the education that
Yeah.
you.
Education is the basis
Yeah.
to be something. But to liberate yourself and do the unlearning and connect with the instinctive magic of daily life and nature is more powerful. This is what is not being taught in us,
In the
education,
schools, yes.
in schools and colleges. Whenever I, Speakmaker sometimes sends us to schools and colleges. I remember one of the high school boys, they asked me to go and speak to them. So I was talking for 10, 15 minutes, and one guy raised his hand. I said, yes. He said, can I ask you a question? I said, please do. He says, sir, what you are saying sounds very interesting, but I can't make out what you are trying to do to us.
Okay.
I thought it was a wonderful question.
Yeah.
The bacha is touched by what my experience is and my understanding of things is touched. But he wants to get it into exact point of his concern and journey. कि बात क्या है?
Yes,
अब
what
बात
is it about?
हाँ, मुझे कहाँ ले जा रहे हो? तो मैंने कहा, I'll tell you. I said, I have been asked to come and uproot you.
Okay.
So the whole, more than 100 students, they were shaken to uproot us. And I said, I'll toss you in the air and I'll stop you there and tell you that there are two conditions before you land. You cannot step on the steps you've already taken.
Okay.
You cannot step on the steps taken by other people.
Okay.
So find a space which is fresh and new for you.
And only yours.
Only yours.
Okay. So Raghuji, tell us about your camaraderie with your children. So Avni Rai, who also happens to be one of my favorite photographer, and of course Purvai Rai, whose works are beautiful, yes. And also your other children, Lagan Rai and Nitin Rai.
I've got no problem with Lagan and Purvai Rai. But I used to have all the problems with Nitin and Avni because they are into photography.
Oh, and why so?
देखिए पहली बात तो ये that children think whatever their parents are doing, they can also do it without dedicating, investing themselves 100%. So then you have to shake them up कि साले तुम्हारे बाप का राज नहीं है.
Yeah. Do something of your own. Like you shared that, make your own space.
Yeah. Creativity is not asset of your father or your mother which he can hand it over to you. Unlike the properties,
Yeah.
Tatas or Birlas or...
It's not a legacy that you can pass on to come on.
So that you have to explore at your own price.
True.
And I'm glad I was tough on them. And
They did
now...
a great job.
Yeah, now they are blooming on their own. Nitin has done variety of photography, which almost no other photographer has been doing.
What is he into? What genre of photography?
Well, he was also a photojournalist. He works with Sunday magazine and foreign magazines. But now he does commercial also, fashion.
Okay.
He does portraits. He does anything and everything. Okay. And Avni is also shooting for GQ, for Vogue magazine.
Yes, I keep on seeing her.
Yeah, all kinds of big magazines also.
Yeah.
So when I tell her now, baby, you should be doing it like this. She says, Papa, you're doing your things, I don't tell you. You don't tell me. The best part is, she's also acted in 2-3 films and very well as a special character. Wow. So, year before last, she was invited to a festival in New York where she was one of the actors in the film. And Oprah Winfrey have a channel,
Okay.
and they got to know about father, and
And the daughter.
and Avni said, Papa, you also come with me to New York. So I was with her. So they got to know the father and daughter are here. On Father's Day, they invited us,
Okay.
the Winfrey channel.
How lovely.
And after, various questions and answers, they asked Avni that your father is father of Indian photography, and he is well known all over the world. So how do you cope up with him as a photographer? She laughs. She says, he's always there in my mind when I'm taking pictures. So when I'm in a situation, I take few pictures for him,
Okay.
and then I begin to take pictures for myself.
For myself. Oh, how lovely that is.
And they were amazed.
Yeah.
So this is the spirit. Because I will hate anybody trying to do my style.
Imitate your style of
Ah.
work.
You have to find your own energy, your own investment, and convert it into expression that is you.
But consciously, subconsciously, for your children, it will come into their work.
Yeah, of course it does.
So, yeah.
But
That's a
then-
great idea to
yeah.
first photograph for the father and then do it for yourself.
But now she doesn't do that anymore.
Okay.
Now she's very
On her own
independent.
end, yeah.
And even in fashion, she's coming out with very new structures and forms.
Agree, yes.
Yes, she's,
Very creative, very edgy.
yeah.
Love the works.
And now I have forgiven them. So it's very loving, wonderful.
Okay. One piece of advice that you would give to your young self.
Young people.
No, to your young self. Like a piece of advice that you would give to yourself when you were young.
Myself?
Yes.
I was telling Avni also that have you ever spoken to yourself as a little baby? Talking about tender things of daily life, like a little child speaks to elders. If you begin to do that, then you are at peace.
Okay. Lovely. Raghu Rai Ji, thank you so much for your precious time. We would like you to sign this plate for us. Thank you to our viewers. See you soon. Until then, stay creative.